This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. And as always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And we are rolling now into September. NFL Week 1 a few days away. Cowboys and the Eagles. College football Week 1, we're going to recap that. Also look ahead to Week 2. Ole Miss and Kentucky SEC showdown in Lexington coming up on Saturday. We will talk about that, our lock of the day. But Lee, first, let's begin on Tuesday's Diamond.
What the fuck?
WTF.
The A's blasted the Cardinals on Monday at Busch Stadium. These teams continue their series coming up tonight. Miles Mikolas on the mound for the Cards, Luis Severino for the team without a city. And Lee, your thoughts tonight on this A's-Cardinals matchup?
Well, you want an interview, Luis Severino will give it to you. He is going to speak his mind. And you talk about a guy that's hot and cold. He is hot away from the athletics field this year, which is in Sacramento. Just a 3.17 ERA. 6.34, though, at home. So he's not pitched since he went on the IL August 5th. But just think that he's probably going to be ready to go here. Like I said, loves pitching away this year. On the other hand, Mikolas, he is a guy that given up a lot of dingers, 24 in his 26 appearances this year. Hitters like Brent Rooker, Nick Kurtz, just carried this A's offense. In fact, they're right now 9th over the last 2 weeks in hitting. A lot of people don't realize that. That's why we always talk about, 10-game little stints in a couple weeks. And there's going to be some good spots over the next couple weeks. Now, the last 10 days to 2 weeks probably won't be giving out as many baseball selections because the games that don't matter, you have a lot of teams, playing younger players, bringing them up from the minors. Sometimes guys get pulled in the middle of the game. So, but like I said, there's still some great spots over the next couple of weeks. And I think this is one of them with the A's offense with the 9th most runs in baseball over the last 2 weeks. And St. Louis's bullpen doesn't look anything like what it looked like in the first half of the season. They are struggling down the stretch. So we're going to start off the week with a wrong team favored, the Athletics, plus the 105, the small spot here. They knock off the St. Louis Cardinals.
And what's so interestingly about the Athletics is I don't want to say as bad as they've been, just they're not as talented as other teams, but they swept Houston a little earlier this year. They swept Detroit, and this is in the second half of the season. So they can play with these big teams. They just got swept by Texas at home, but they definitely have young talent, and there's a hunger. There's definitely a motivation, I think, for the A's coming down the stretch. I don't want to say St. Louis is unmotivated, but the A's definitely want to show that they're going to be an up-and-coming team over the next few years.
And a lot of these guys that are playing for them, they want to make sure that they're going to be around and starting next year. So, this is, not just an audition. They're trying to hold their jobs going into next year. There's going to be a couple positions that they're going to upgrade. But, for a lot of their starters, probably half their starters, 3 or 4 of their starters, they want to make sure they're going to be around and starting next year. So these next couple of weeks, very important. And like I said, the last couple of weeks, that's when, players, even the young players on these bad teams, they start talking about what they're going to do in the off season, where they're going to travel. They're going to go hunting. They're going to go fishing. Their girlfriends, are talking to them about what we're going to do. But right now, I think the focus is still on baseball.
Now, let's look back, Lee, at a very interesting week 1 in college football. And before we get to some of the results we had on the show, the big news from last night, the North Carolina Tar Heels, Chapel Bill, touchdown out of the gate, and you thought, oh, the magician is here. And then TCU just steamrolled North Carolina the rest of the way. I guess just goes to show you, Lee, that even the smartest football coach can't turn around a team that really has no talent.
That's true. He's going to have to use some smoke and mirrors with this team. The kid he had at quarterback, not very good. I mean, every facet. Offensive line was terrible. Don't see any next level. Used to see some really good running backs and receivers from this North Carolina team over the last 3-4 years, but not the case. They don't have that in their defense. They can't get off blocks. I mean, one-on-one, they just can't make plays, can't cover anyone. It's going to be a long season. Bill Belichick was, I think, trying to use this experience here to springboard back in the NFL. He might be coaching, Sunset High School or my high school, Palmer High School, next year if this continues.
I guess Tom Brady's not walking through that door for the North Carolina Tar Heels. We could settle that debate now. He went off to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl without him, so he was fine. But as far as the other games from the weekend, Lee, your thoughts, at least on some of the selections that we had on the show. Obviously, Florida State, the big upset over Alabama, and also Miami knocking off Notre Dame Sunday night among the highlights. But what else stuck out to you?
Well, I think that the transfer portal is not the total, easy fix for some of these schools. Now, some schools like Miami, that was one of our picks. I think Mario Cristobal did a really good job picking the right guys there. They needed some defensive line help, defensive tackle. He found some of the right guys that were able to slow down the run of Notre Dame, which was, so efficient and so dominating last year. And then he ends up getting Carson Beck, perfect fit, who looks like he's 100% ready to go. He was surveying the field, making the right decision. That's important with a quarterback, pretty accurate. So, if you can find the right guys, but someone like Bill Belichick, who had to find, 14, 15, 16 new starters from last year, usually doesn't work out. So Miami did really well in that respect. You're a Florida State grad. What were your thoughts going into the game and watching that game?
I thought that number one, just be competitive. And Alabama went down, scored earlier, like, okay, well, here we go. And then Castellanos hit that long pass, and he scored the touchdown, make it 7-7 immediately. Said, okay, here we go. And then FSU just ran them out. I mean, I guess it's number one. Saban makes a difference, and it's no disrespect to Kalen DeBoer. Maybe he just jumped into too big of shoes there in Alabama. Washington is one thing, but maybe going to Alabama was a little too much for him. But secondly, it goes to show you, if you have a quarterback, you're going to be competitive, and FSU didn't have a quarterback last year. That's why they stunk. And now Castellanos, I don't know if he's the answer, if he's going to be the next Jameis Winston, but at least there was a little bit of spark to that offense. And look, they look like a different team now. They have winnable games the next 3 weeks before playing Miami. So things have turned around that fast where it could have been a lost season very quickly. We're now on the flip side with Alabama. I don't say it's a lost season, but they got a lot of questions to answer moving forward.
Yeah, for Miami and Florida State, which meet, I think it's in 4 weeks. Is there going to be an overreaction? That's what happens a lot. People judge and base their decisions in gambling on what they saw last. And Miami looked great. They only won the game by 3 points, but they were the better team. They were dominating the line of scrimmage. So was Florida State. They looked, faster. They looked, another game that we had that I lost, made a mistake on. Well, I thought Clemson was going to be the better team at home. LSU, they break that five-loss winning streak to start the season. LSU in the second half look faster. They look hungrier. I mean, there were so many guys on their defense where you would see the quarterback Klubnik just, rolling out, look like he had 2-3 seconds. And then out of nowhere, the defensive player, wraps him up and he's down. So just think that speed's also important. So, we won that Miami game, lost the Alabama game, dead wrong there. Home field is very important for Florida State's win. Was wrong definitely on LSU. A couple other games I was wrong on. Nebraska won but didn't cover. Probably should stay away from them as a favorite. They're probably a little bit better as an underdog. And some of the others, won Georgia Tech, thought they looked good, and they're going to be a tough out. They had a couple turnovers early in that game. It looked like they could have, lost the game outright and not even be close. But I think they're very talented. The ACC is wide open now. And then lost NC State, jumped out to a 17-0 lead, then had the big play that went against them. I think it was like 79-yard pass for a touchdown. It looked like we were going to have an easy win. So got to learn from what you saw. Don't overreact, and hopefully build on the positives and correct the negatives and the reasons we lost.
One other game you didn't mention, just get your thoughts on, was the Texas-Ohio State game. That Texas was there. I mean, they lose the game. Arch Manning, obviously, there's a lot of questions surrounding him. Ohio State shut him down. The Buckeyes did enough to win that game. But what did you think on both sides with the Longhorns? The line was flipping back and forth during the week. And, Texas won't have a game or an opponent probably like that the rest of the season. But as far as Ohio State beating Texas for the second time this calendar year.
Well, I think it's got to be, part of the blame's got to go to Arch Manning. That interception he threw was way too late and had nothing on it. I don't know if he was not 100%, but he looked like Peyton Manning at the end his last year. That thing was like a dead duck. And then Steve Sarkisian, you got to call better plays. I mean, you're going to run a tush push with Arch Manning. That certainly cost them. So that red zone offense of Texas is going to have to improve. So, they're not out of it. That's what's great about college football. You can lose 2 and probably 3 games in the SEC if you're up there and you start, in the top 10, top 15 and still make the college football playoff. So it's what do these coaches do from there on out? But the better coaches, Ryan Day got the job done, hired some really good coordinators, and I underestimated that. And that defense looked really good for Ohio State. And, they found themselves, they had the better quarterback.
Ryan Day, late November, people wanted to throw him out of Columbus after the Michigan loss. He wins the championship and beats Texas in the opener. All of a sudden, he's the king there. So things change very fast, and Ohio State off to that 1-0 start. Coming up, we will look at some more baseball games for tonight. Also, Lane Kiffin, can he get some revenge on Kentucky after the Rebels got tripped up by the Wildcats last year? So we will talk about that game coming up. You're listening to Locked On Bets. Let's talk now about FanDuel. You want to know why? Guess what's coming up? The NFL. The season is here in just 2 days, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So NFL Week 1, what are your choices? A lot of them. Cowboys, Eagles, Thursday in Philly. Chiefs and the Chargers in Brazil coming up on Friday night, and then Sunday, a full slate of games. Monday night, the Vikings and the Bears at Soldier Field in Chicago. You have the choices of all those games. Of course, you could bet on the Super Bowl. Or who's going to win the Super Bowl. You could bet on who's going to win the AFC and NFC titles. You could bet who's going to win the MVP, Rookie of the Years, all of that, plus player props. You have so many choices, and one place to go is FanDuel. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. We continue Locked On Bets here on this Tuesday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And we'll get to some more college football in a little bit with Ole Miss and Kentucky. But first, though, let us take a look at, Lee, you know what time it's for? The Hidden Gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
Tried to hold that a little too long, and it didn't work out. But Lee, with this being said, Rays and the Mariners tonight in Tampa at Steinbrenner Field. And we're going to go with the Rays first 5 plus 110 as our hidden gem. I have plenty of reasons behind this. Number one, Tampa Bay is on fire. They've won 7 of 9, so they are playing well. They beat up Seattle last night in the opener of their series. We had this trend a few weeks ago, Lee, and it still is holding up. So the Seattle Mariners, in their past 18 game twos of a road series, in the first 5 innings, they're now 1-12-5 after they trailed 1-0 at Cleveland their last series. So once in the past 18 road game twos, they have led one time out of 18. So it's been a while for them being successful in that spot. Drew Rasmussen starts for the Rays tonight. He's 16-6-4 in the first 5 innings. He tossed 6 scoreless against the Mariners in Seattle last month. Brian Wu on the mound for the Mariners, and he has not led through the first 5 innings in 4 of his past 5 road starts. Tampa Bay 8-1 in their past 9 in the first 5, and for Seattle, they have not led through 5 innings in 13 of their past 15 on the road. So let's take the Rays tonight. First 5 against the Mariners as our hidden gem.
You found a really good trend there, Kevin. I mean, maybe the Mariners, their pregame meals aren't good enough, or something's happening, or maybe, after 5 innings, I've got some real good beef jerky or something. They have a mid-game, little snack or something, and getting that sugar level back up. But something's going on with that team, and you got to take advantage of it. Like last year, I was playing against the Miami Heat in the second half. They were coming out after halftime, and it looked like they were still in the halftime break. So you got to identify these things, and good job there. Let's bag this Tampa Bay Rays win here.
Yeah, the Rays been playing better, and they had that long road trip. It felt like forever, and they came back, and they got blown out by the Yankees a few times, but since then, they played better, and Tampa Bay is good for one of these runs here late in the season. Like we said with Seattle, when they're at home, it's great. When they're on the road, I feel like since these trades, they've been terrible. So we're just going to fade the Mariners tonight in the first 5 innings. Another game inside the American League, a game the Mariners probably be keeping an eye on. The Astros and the Yankees, they meet up in Houston, and this is it's always big when these teams hook up. ALCS years ago, we've seen them in the playoffs a lot. Max Fried starts tonight for New York on the mound, and Lee, this is time for the first of 2 locks of the day.
Open it! Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Yankees here, Lee. They've been playing well. They just took 2 of 3 from the White Sox. They had that disastrous series against the Red Sox, won the finale, but all of a sudden New York has turned things around. So Yankees, Astros, Houston. Lee, what do you like tonight?
So Max Fried, one of these guys that everyone knows a lot about, but facing the Astros 3 times, he has 10 career strikeouts. That's it. 10 career, 3 1/3 strikeout. And the 3 times he's faced them. I expect a lot of ground balls here, and I think we're going to see a lot of contact by these hitters here. For some reason, I'm not sure why, but you got to just run with these trends here, and I don't think he's going to pull out of it anytime soon. So sometimes you run these algorithms, run these models, and it just keeps spitting out a certain thing, and I got to take a look at it, and I got to run with it here. So I think Max Fried under 5.5 strikeouts, -140 for the Yankees tonight. It's a big one here. It's going to be a level 2 lock.
The Yankees, Lee, this is the other thing, too. I mentioned how hot they were, but also some of the competition they faced. 3 of 4, I said 2 of 3. It's like 3 of 4 from the White Sox. They swept the Nationals at home, 2 teams that aren't going to the playoffs. And for Max Fried, again, he signed that big deal with the Yankees in the offseason, and we'll see how it turns out here against this Astro team that has somehow not solved him, but they find a way just to not strike out against him. So we'll see how that one turns out tonight. Framber Valdez will start for the Astros on the other side. So big night in baseball. And Lee, a couple days away, the NFL. We don't have any picks in the NFL today. We'll have more during the week, but a lot of excitement now as we finally turn the corner for week 1 of the NFL in just 2 days.
Yeah, I'm going to probably put out a college game and an NFL game on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So stay tuned. We're going to come out hot and like some NFL plays. So why not? We'll start with them tomorrow and continue with the college games, because I think I'm going to be able to turn around a slow start for me in college football.
Yeah, now with the week in the book, week 0, whatever you want to call that, in week 1, 2 weeks, whatever. But at least all the teams have played so far, and we'll see how this goes coming up in week 2. Coming up, speaking of week 2, college football, Ole Miss and Kentucky, the lock of the day, and we'll see what Lane Kiffin does here against Kentucky. That is straight ahead. You are listening to Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And the SEC got a big matchup this week, Mississippi and Kentucky. And last year, Ole Miss just got stuck in that game against Kentucky. The Wildcats ended up beating them as a heavy underdog in Oxford. And now the series, or the scene, I should say, shifts to Lexington. So we'll see how that turns out for the lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it! Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
For some reason, Ole Miss was just stifled in that game by Kentucky. And the Wildcats, a team, they've been a decent, some decent underdog spots over the years under Mark Stoops. But Lee, what do you like here with Ole Miss and Kentucky in this SEC showdown on Saturday?
Okay, so let's revisit last year. Going into that game, Ole Miss was 4-0. They had beaten Georgia Southern 52-13. And this Kentucky team, not a lot of people thought about them and thought they were going to do much. And what do? They went into Oxford and held Ole Miss, which had Jackson Dart, had all those receivers and the wide open offense at 353 yards. How did they do it? Controlled the line of scrimmage. If you can run the ball and stop the run, you're going to win a lot of games here. Now, everyone's thinking, oh, revenge, better, more talented team. They might be more talented, but they got to go on the road here with a sophomore quarterback, Austin Simmons, who's talented, 19 for 32 last year. Really, his only action was at home, and only action this year was in a home game, big favorite. So last year was mop-up time for him. Looked good. I think he played one series in a game that mattered and looked good going down the field. But the game was at home. Last week, they put up 695 yards against another Georgia team, Georgia State team. But what concerns me here is that defensive line for Ole Miss, which had all those great players, a lot of draft picks in the NFL, gave up 191 yards rushing to Georgia State, who is not well thought of, and it was mainly in the first half. It wasn't like they were running draws at the end of the game. Kentucky, home dog, the last 6 years, 7-3 against the spread. Mark Stoops is a crafty head coach. He does his best work as an underdog when everyone's counting him out here. I'm taking the points here in Kentucky. Double digits at home, just like Florida State, tough place to play. We're going to go with a level 2 lock to start the week, college football. I think Ole Miss escapes here, something like 27-24.
Yeah, Kentucky, I thought back to last year too, Lee. I mean, not really related, but just kind of popped in my head that Kentucky was a huge favorite against South Carolina early in the season, just lost. You figured, okay, this is not the spot to take them in. But when they are getting points, though, like that Ole Miss game last year on the road, they won outright. You just feel like that's, some of these teams just respond better in the underdog role. They're almost forgotten. And for Ole Miss, everyone's going to go that revenge angle. And you have a drop down in quarterback, in a sense, going from Jackson Dart now to a big start here on the road.
And it wasn't like they folded right away. Ole Miss in that first drive, if people remember that game, they went right down the field. Like it might have been like 4 or 5 plays and led 7-0. Didn't fold it. So Mark Stoops' team, unless they fall far behind, they're gonna have the composure. And people don't think a whole lot of them. They struggled last week, against a MAC opponent. Well, I mean, it was tight for a while. They won the game. Turned out didn't cover only because of a backdoor cover. I think it was less than a minute to go in that game. But just think that well-coached team here. Lane Kiffin, there's so much hype. They're going to be talking about if he wins this game and let's say Alabama loses again, him going to Alabama again. I think he's happy there. He knows he's not winning a national title. He collects, I think, like $9, $10, $12 million for coaching at Ole Miss. How easy is that? So he's comfortable, but I still don't think he's a great coach here. And I don't want to lay double digits with an Ole Miss team that I don't think is that talented. Might be the 8th, 9th best team in the SEC. And Kentucky, who knows? They might be the 12th or 13th best. I don't think there's that much difference between these two teams, especially Kentucky playing at home.
Yeah, it should be a very interesting game coming up on Saturday. Both teams starting off their SEC slate. And Lee, now that NFL is finally here with week 1, college football week 2 is up ahead. What do you have going on at Paramount Sports?
Well, we got a couple things. We've got our player props, and they started off new item here, 4-1 college football. We do college football player props and NFL player props. People love the NFL player props. So feeling really good about that. You can get the entire season, $5.97 there, or the entire season of our college and NFL selections from Thursday night all the way through the Super Bowl, just $1,997. It's a phone service. You call once a day. You hear every single game on a tape. We rate the selections from 10 to 50 units. We won 30 out of 31 years. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel here, Locked On Bets. We appreciate all of your support. Also, you can find the podcast as well at your favorite audio platform. And you can find us on X, Lee at Paramount Sports, myself at Rogers Picks. We'll be back with you coming up on Wednesday. We'll have more college football selections as well, looking ahead to week 2. And NFL, just a few days away. So that is all coming up. We're very excited about that. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.